Mediocre Disc Golf Podcast, an average podcast for the average disc golfer. As always, I'm Evan Amstutz, joined by Kim Hatcher. We're happy you could join us. Kim, how are you doing today?
Doing great. It's a beautiful day outside. We're really excited. Josh and I are trying to get ready for Worlds by super hot. Let's just start with that. Super hot outside. So having one day like dedicated to disc golf, like one really solid round, if not 2 rounds, and then going back to 1 round and then taking an off day. So that way we're getting some disc golf in and we're getting that endurance practice, but not killing ourselves because it is hot outside.
Yeah, the other day I normally run like 2+ miles, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a short run. We'll just enjoy it. And I was just dying. It took me probably 2 hours to recover from it just because I didn't look at the temperature. I'm just like, I normally run after work. Let's just go. And it was the first day where I think it was like 95 degrees here. And I didn't see what the feels like temperature was, but I walked out and it felt like I had jumped into a pool. So the feels like it was probably up over 100. I did not hydrate like I was going to go run in that kind of weather. For all of our friends and listeners in the warmer regions of the country and or the world, hydrate before you go outside.
Hydrate a couple days before. The day before it's too late.
You mean I can't just drink a ton the night before, wake up hammered, and then be good to go and it be
No,
safe? No? Oh,
no,
okay.
that's not how it works.
Just a little Pedialyte and some water. Good to go.
Yeah, no. I mean, Josh and I went to Tusk yesterday, Tuscaloosa and Daytona Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Played long to long, which was actually one of the first times I actually was doing decently because long to longs it's
It's a
tough.
tough
It's
course.
tough. And it's a tough course. And we got through 9. We played 10. And 10's a long boy too.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh looks at me and goes, "You want to go?" And if Josh is saying if you want to go, you know, like it's real because usually I'm always like, I don't want to be here. Like, because I don't know, I like complaining. It's fun. And Josh is like, yeah, we have no water. Maybe that was a bad idea. Let's just go. So we left.
Yeah, it's definitely that time of year where you have to make sure you're bringing at least 2 water bottles. And if you're going
Oh
to a
yeah.
course where they don't have like a water fountain or something, bring like 2 more in the car and put them in a cooler because it is just hot, especially here in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, don't mean to bring up alt stuff, but just like playing 2 rounds, like 2 tournament rounds in one day in this weather
Mhm.
sounds like a really bad idea. And playing 2 days worth of 2 rounds each for 4 rounds in total in 2 days sounds like an even worse idea.
Yeah, I mowed my yard this morning and that was awful. I finished up
Yeah.
around like 9 o'clock and I was still just dying.
Yeah, it's hot. I last night, so we only played 10 holes of disc golf, but we always throw double, triple, sometimes we throw 4 shots. Just
Well, all right,
we're
calm
just
down.
chilling. I know. Like we're just trying to get ready and all that. And at like 9 o'clock last night, I just felt like I didn't do enough, although I was exhausted when we were playing. And so I was like, Josh, I'm going to the gym. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm going to the gym. So he's like, okay, let me pause the game. So
Nice.
we went to the gym at 9 o'clock last night, which I actually really enjoyed because there was nobody there.
Yeah, there's never anybody at my gym because my gym is my garage.
Your
So if someone else
gym's
is
your
there, I'm
garage. Well,
very
not
concerned.
everyone's special, Evan. Yeah, true.
Who are you
That would
people?
be funny.
Yeah,
You know what's also super, super exciting?
what's that?
So the Dish Shop's website has been down for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They've just been down right now.
Yeah, some
They've
technical issues.
done a soft launch of their website. Yeah. And it looks
Yes,
great. The soft
it's
launch,
super nice.
like very user friendly, which I appreciate. You can see everything, everything's in big font. It's not confusing. I see where my card is. Like, really, really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, super clean UI. Sorry, this is my technical background. Really starting to enjoy this, but it's a modern. modern design,
Mm-hmm.
definitely a little bit of a facelift from the old, and it's great.
But I think so. Soft launch, so they're looking for feedback and everything. I would
Mhm.
say I liked on the old website where you could go to, I think it was the MVP section. Let me open it. See, let me check before I make comments. Check Axiom. It was also an Axiom section. Okay, so it's a little different. So back on the old website, you were able to go to the Axiom section and then click distance, fairway, mid range, and it
Yes.
would list it all. So it kind of does that a little differently. You can filter.
Hmm.
So this is different. Okay. And then it lists all the discs. Okay. I kind of would like if it would be like, here's the one disc, and then you open that disc, and it was like, oh, here are the plastics we have in this disc,
Hmm.
the weights we have, the colors in this, instead of just kind of like looking at all of these discs. Like if you go under Discraft, it has all the Zone OSs, and it's like, oh, that might look better if it was just kind of clumped together. But that's just an opinion, just some feedback.
Yeah, if you go to the AGL section, shout out AGL discs, they have the distance and fairway, which I think
Mm-hmm,
that's
mm-hmm.
actually, I personally prefer being able to filter and
Yeah,
select
I
like
agree.
fairway and distance, because for some people that's like their fairway driver might be their distance driver.
Yeah, I mean a 10 speed, where's the 10 speed fall?
It right in the middle. Sometimes 11 speed feels like it falls right in between, depending on the speed, or depending on like the stability and that sort in the glide. Could be more of a fairway type situation. So I really like
True.
the updates that they're doing, and everyone should go check it out.
Yeah, I love it. It looks great.
I don't think Coffee would be too heated about that one.
He's so funny. He cracks me up when we went out to dinner and he was just like, I should just start yelling at it. I'm like, you should. That would be fun.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you want Hoffy to scream at you about his opinions rather than just calmly tell us his opinions. Kim, do you want to get into this week's Hoffy heater?
I am excited. I am pumped. Go ahead. Let's let her rip.
Just a reminder, Hoffy's Heaters is brought to you by Spikeiser Dyes, and this is where our social media manager, Matt Hoffman, gives his hot takes on things nobody else is talking about. Maybe it's for a good reason. Let's
Most definitely.
let's hear what he's got to say.
This is going to be a more that I'm just frustrated than more of a heater. And the fact that the Disc Golf Pro Tour put so much work into creating this European tour and building this idea that we want to support this game in Europe and bring it to the Americas and show off the great courses of Europe. And I think that was a fantastic idea. I think it was one of the greatest ideas they've had to build this European tour and build more off of the European Opens, show off those European sponsors, show off the European love of the game, and show off the way that disc golf is played around the world. And I think it's a fantastic idea. But why do we keep scheduling them on the same days as Silver Series, as main events? And the big one that I'm really talking about right now is that the Dynamic Disc Open and the Conapista Open 2023 are on the same weekend. And so I really have to choose now which one I want to watch if I want to watch either, because that's a lot of disc golf in one day. And that's even if we get coverage of the European Tour. I would love to watch the Conapista Open and really put in the work to understand and watch the game from a European standpoint and understand what it is like to play in Europe, because I've never done it. But I think it's super frustrating that they have not thought about this in the long run of multiple scheduling large scale events. So that way, one, if pros wanted to go, they could.
Yeah, I have to agree with him. Conopista is a bigger tournament for the European schedule, and to have it scheduled all on top of another bigger tournament is a bit confusing. I know
Yeah, no, 100%.
Paul missed the Portland Open because he was already over in Europe. I think that was more of a personal choice for Paul. But now I believe both of those are on the DGPT like schedule,
Mm-hmm.
because the one that Paul was playing during Portland was not. but it is odd.
I completely agree. Like, we want to increase this. Like, when we say world champion for disc golf, we want it to feel like that. We want tournaments to be all over the world, and that world championship is like the finale almost. And we're not giving enough viewage to that. Like Portland Open and Dynamic Disc Open especially. Like, I want to watch that. Why are we booking so many on top of each other? I mean, I understand from a tournament side how, like, when they're scheduling these tournaments, they don't want to have to like look at other tournaments and make sure they're not overlapping and everything like that. But honestly, the Disc Golf Pro Tour should do a better job of, there should be a break. There should be 3 weeks of break time where that's the European tour. Like, I guess not break, but for the athletes who don't go play in Europe, they should have a break. And they should be able to play A tiers, which are still just as good tournaments, have time to travel to the next location. So I definitely agree.
Yeah, a little correction on my side. The kind of PGA Open is not a DGPT event, but it is such a big event that it kind of be like trying to think of a good one. It'd be like the European Open being scheduled over like the Masters Cup or another big A tier event that a lot of people play. It's a little confusing. I know that the DGPT can't control Kanapiche Day because that's not their tournament, but there wasn't a huge turnaround time for people to get out to Emporia anyway. I feel like this is one of those road trips where you kind of want to give the touring players enough time to get out, because they had a
and they were
Silver
just
Series
in
last week.
Yeah, they were in Montana, and
so for those who are doing the Silver Series grind, they go from Oregon to Montana to Kansas. That's not a short drive. I think maybe
not at all.
they should have considered putting the Montana tournament this weekend and shifting DDO back and kind of shifting the calendar back 1 week. That gives the pros that are traveling a bunch 1 extra week to get out to the Midwest. And then if you want to make that jump over to Europe, you can then go do the Kona-Piche Open and kind of stay over in Europe to get ready for the European Open. So that gives different levels of touring pro 2 different avenues and can give the European pros the avenue to go back home for a bit and have a week of travel before something like Kona-Piche Day.
That's just a really great point. There's so much time built in the year, and I get there's only so many weekends, and I just feel like we're not spreading it out well enough. They did a better job this year of having certain swings, which was really cool, but I think there should be a European swing, and during that European swing, there is no other tournaments other than A tiers that you could play in. Like, Silver, like, people need to get points, but also people want to go to Europe. That sounds like an amazing experience. Or those in Europe want to stay in Europe and not have to come over. So
yeah, and they have some, like, their silver event between Preserve and the PCS Open kind of discourages people from going over to Europe, because if you're someone who's on kind of the cut line for the end of year event with points, you want to hit those Silver Series close to home, places that you could practice and not worry about jet lag and not worry about more expensive travel and accommodations.
Jet lag's freaking brutal, and it's a real thing.
Yeah. So I wish this section of the calendar has always been kind of a curiosity for me, because you have tournaments like Ledgestone, Idlewild, D-Glow, and European Open. You have them all right on top of each other. And I don't know how much of that is tradition, how much of that is logistics of like other events like outside of disc golf taking up those venues. So you couldn't do something else. And though maybe there's something around that. But I wish there's a little bit more, like, as much as I love watching huge event after huge event after huge event, I'd love to see more of a PGA Tour model where like the weeks leading into a major and some of the bigger events generally aren't well attended events, and that gives people who are like really trying to just stay on the tour or trying to get extra tour points for the FedEx Cup, gives them an opportunity to kind of show out, and it gives
Yeah.
the guys at the top the option to play in something if they want to, but they don't have to. I wish we'd see something a little bit more like that in disc golf, where Ledgestone is an Elite Plus event, I believe, and then the next week it's Idlewild, and the next week is D-Glow. Like those are all huge events.
Those are huge, yeah, and it's just like one after another.
And then, okay, here's the last thing I'll say about it, because this is, I think, the most frustrating point. There's a month in between D-Glow and MVP Open.
Ooh,
Are we
that's a good
doing?
point.
Is it a bunch of, like, I know there's Worlds in that span. Yeah, it's Worlds is August, but there's not a lot. There's the Flying Disc Open in Rochester, and that's really it. Like, why not shift something back, shift something around? I don't know. I
I don't
also don't
understand why our
know the
season
logistics.
ends in October.
Yeah, especially when you could do something in Georgia or in the Southeast. Like you can make the Southeast
Yeah.
swing
Yeah, why
in
aren't
October.
we doing that?
Just just our 2 cents for everybody that's listening.
We're asking the real questions here.
Yeah, that was a really good one, Hockey. I think it's actually been my favorite one because that took a little bit more thinking than previous years.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the disc graph ones that I liked.
Never gonna let him live that one down.
Nope, I will not.
Well, that was quite the heater. And if you want a disc that is an absolute heater, go check out Spikeheiser Dyes. Brandon is creating amazing dyes for everyone to enjoy. And you can check him out on Instagram at shdyes_DG. You can see what he has to offer in his shop, or you can request something custom. Spikeheiser Dyes, excellence by design. And I get all sorts of comments on the disc that Brandon has done for me.
Yeah, we've been texting because we're trying to get some discs for me for Worlds, and he's got a Venom that I really, really, really love, and it's on his Etsy shop, so I'm trying to get my hands on it. So overall, his discs are amazing. I love it.
Yeah, my favorite thing that he does is the spin dies, because he doesn't just do the normal spin die, he
Yes.
does with the little extra details within. I mean, it is so impressive what he can do. Well, Kim, you know what is not a heater?
What?
Actually having fun. You should have fun while playing disc golf.
Dude, that's been I've said it a couple times on the podcast. That's been the number one thing that I'm getting ready for, is the mental side and remembering that it's a game, and like, I love this game. I love this game. Disc golf is supposed to be fun, like that kind of mentality. And that's just been the biggest thing. And I've actually felt like it's really falling to place. Like I'm not getting frustrated as much. I'm really trying to just work through shots. If I'm really like not throwing well, let's throw some dumb shots, because those aren't supposed to go well. And if they go good, yeah. So playing for fun and enjoying the game.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ways to like have fun, is to throw really dumb shots, because not only are you remembering that you're throwing a piece of plastic in a public park, you're
Yep.
practicing in a way. Like you then, when you are in a situation where you have to throw said dumb shot, you're like, I've done this before.
Oh, to throw this dumb shot. Yeah, actually, that has actually happened where I was like, didn't think that was going to happen. Interesting.
That's how I learned to throw a grenade. Was I was just screwing around, and then I had to pull it out in a tournament, and it worked out great.
That happened. So like, I love throwing rollers. It's like, I know I'm really good at like about 75 feet and in, throwing a roller if I'm really stuck in the woods. I don't know why I'm good at it. I like it. But I do it for fun a lot of the time. And the other day we were at Tuscaloosa playing on the memorial hole. So if you ever
Mhm.
played at Tusk, there's a hole that's memorial. I hit the memorial, was left side. And the only shot to get to the short basket was to throw a roller. So I picked up my Venom and I was like, this seems like a good idea. And I ended up parking it
That's
I
awesome.
was far back. That was like a 250-foot forehand roller. And I just was like, boom. It was great. Josh was like, that was dumb. And I was like, finally, I can do dumb stuff too.
Yeah. Usually when Josh and I are playing doubles, he's in charge of the dumb stuff. So I don't always get to practice the dumb idiot stuff. But man, when you get to pull off a dumb shot, it's great.
Oh, it's so fun. Yeah. I mean, but there's other stuff you can do that's not just like, I'm going to throw dumb stuff. Like
But
sometimes I'm like, can I throw a roller here?
the dumb
Can
stuff
I throw a
is
roller?
very good for Instagram. See my
Yes.
honey grenade that flipped up and rode right and went into the nether.
Yes. But like, let's talk about some other ways like we've had fun. Okay.
Mhm.
I think let's start with the basic, super easy, simple. Disc roulette on your it's a website, right? Website. Or
Yes.
ripped revenge. Two
Or disc
simple,
die.
basic ways. What?
Disc die.
Yep, disc dice. That's another one too. Super easy. Disc roulette. I like disc roulette more because you can kind of set like if you're drinking, if you're how many holes you're playing, and if you don't like something, you kind of just can click the next button and it'll come up with something new. That
Mhm.
one was fun. I played that with my buddy when he was in town before he got shipped off, and that was really really fun. That one's
Mhm.
a favorite. Disc dice is pretty fun too because it really makes you do dumb stuff.
Mhm.
And then Rip Revenge is, it's still there. I liked playing Ripped when you mix up the rules though.
Yes, Ripped is really good to still get that kind of competitiveness because
Yeah.
Disc roulette is so dumb that score doesn't particularly matter. Like we still keep
Yeah.
score, but like you have one of you can switch the whoever's losing gets to switch shots with whoever's winning, and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
generally how that ends up working is the person who's winning is teeing off first and the person who's losing is teeing off last. I've seen it where the person who's losing throws their disc 180 degrees in the wrong direction and then goes, yeah, I'm gonna switch that with the person who's
I'm gonna
parked.
switch. I'm gonna play the switch card. Switch.
Yeah, so like disc roulette can get really dumb. I think Ripped Revenge, because of the competitiveness, the
Yeah.
games tend to stay balanced the whole way through.
The way we play Ripped, is I think the rules are if you get a bogey, you get a card. We play if
Mhm.
you get a par, you get a card. So everyone's getting cards unless you birdied the hole,
Mhm.
which usually won't happen, especially like when we make you throw when you have to jump putt everything. That one's fun. That one is fun.
I just play Reed Canal, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Another good one is a bag swap,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
with someone who you're not as familiar with their bag. Like if Josh and I switched bags, or if I switched bags with you, I think we'd all kind of be okay because we play all the
Yeah.
same cards enough that we know what most of the things do. You're like, okay, I've seen them throw this shot with this disc
Yeah.
before. That's what I need. But
If I had to
especially if
switch
it's
with like
like,
Hoffy,
oh yeah,
no shot. I have no idea what's in Hoffy's bag. No
yeah,
shot.
maybe that'd be a fun thing. I know Foundation has done that, like a disc bag carousel where you're rotating your bags through the whole way. That would be a lot of fun because then everybody's cycling through everybody's stuff.
Yeah, that actually does sound like fun.
Maybe we'll do that. Let us know if you want us to do that.
Let's do dumb stuff. Oh, my favorite. So this is different. I just discovered this game. They play it at Tuscaloosa all the time. I keep mentioning Tuscaloosa. It's my new favorite course of the month. Trust me, it won't be there next month. Okay, we change it all the time. So at Tuscaloosa, there's long pads, there's short pads, and then there's like super short pads, like a novice pad almost. So blue, white, and red.
Mhm.
And how you play is a little different than how you think. You'll play the hole. If you get a birdie, the next hole you'll play from the super, super short pad.
Yeah.
If you get a par, you play the next hole you'll play from white. If you get a bogey, next hole you'll play from blue. So yeah, the guys are, it sounds like fun. And you could also play it the opposite way. Like if you get a birdie, you go to blue. If you bogey it, you go super short. Like there's different ways, but they were telling me that. I was like, that sounds like really fun because it's not like you could stay on the same roll. Like you stay there until you do better. Next hole's different. Like next hole's a new thing. And I like that aspect because that's also good tournament practice. Like, hey, next hole, next hole, next hole, I'm getting the heck off of this blue pad.
Yeah. It's also nice because then you put a little extra pressure on yourself. It's a good tournament prep because you're like, oh man, I've got to make this putt because I really like the next hole. I really don't want to be on blue pads. Like that's the worst hole to be on blue pads. And like, got to make this 20-footer.
Yeah, and they do it competitively too. I think they actually like take score, which is honestly sounds like a lot of fun and something I'm definitely going to try more often.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to try that out as well. One of my favorite things, because the few courses that are close to me are generally pretty short, is doing a gorilla or safari layout.
Ooh, yes.
It's especially good if you have a course that has a lot of similar shots. Like one of the ones close to me has a lot of 200-foot forehand hyzer shots. And it's just
of course.
Moccasin Creek.
Yeah.
So it's just little chip forehand, chip forehand, chip forehand. And the way to mix that up is either force yourself to throw the turnover or just make up a whole new hole. And I might have something coming up in that space at Moccasin Creek. Maybe we'll turn that into a little bit of a weekly or monthly update. But some people know what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
Some people don't. Things are in the works regarding Safari gorilla layouts. So more on that to come.
Awesome. At Reed Canal, which is kind of like the local place that we play a lot, it can get really boring. The front nine is like a bunch of short wooded stuff. The back nine's a little bit more open, but it can get really boring. So we're actually going to go do that today. Go play the gorilla layout at Reed. And it's a lot more long. It's a lot more tight gaps. Sometimes it's just a dumb gap. You're like, this would never be in a tournament. But it's like, man, well, maybe this is an approach. Maybe this is a scramble that we might have to make in a tournament. So a lot of forehands or turnovers, which is something I'm working on. My back's still tightening up when I'm throwing forehands. So we're trying to just work through it and figure out my limits. And like, I really like the gorilla layout over there.
Yeah, I mean, gorilla layouts, you can set something up that you enjoy. You can set something up to challenge yourself. There's a lot of different options. It's kind of what do you want that day? And you can find some really cool lines that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
On a course that you play all the time.
Yeah, no, 100%. Another thing about Reed is the gorilla layout's pretty well known. People know, like, it gets text over so people know what it is. But like I like going out there and playing like this like 6-hole loop where it's stuff that like I feel like I need to work on. So it's not the same as the layout, but like playing different baskets because I always feel like I need to work on my approach game. And with Reed being so short, sometimes I'm not working on an approach game. I'm working on a throw and a jump putt.
Right.
So I'll like really try to pick a different basket to really work on placements and par fours and stuff like that. So just go out and go step on the tee pad and pick a different basket to throw to.
Absolutely. Another thing that my buddy John and I like to do, we change the name for it every single time we do it, but essentially what it is if you win the hole, you flip to see who picks the rule first, or you play the first hole straight up and whoever wins it gets to pick the rule. But you then from then on, you're picking rules based on who won the previous hole. So you can do anything from like, oh, this one has to be a forehand flip up to my personal favorite rule, as long as it's safe, is anti-Mando, where if you have a hole with a Mando, you have to miss it. You have to do something different. So there's a hole at a course called Springfield here where there's a Mando
Yeah.
that's more there in case people are playing on the baseball field, but generally they're not. And
Mm-hmm.
it turns into this huge Sky Anheuser line if you play the anti-Mando. It's so much fun.
I mean, that sounds like freaking blast. Anti-Mando. Or just pick a Mando.
Yeah, another one we do, it's a very short hole, but it's got a lot of OB. So the rule on that one, and it's just tradition is at this point, is ace or OB. You keep re-teeing until your disc goes in the basket or goes OB. So
That sounds like a rule.
very good, Kim. It's resulted in plenty of chain outs. It's actually never resulted in an ace, which is surprising given the shot because it's like 200 feet
How
maybe.
long do you throw?
Once we start getting like halfway through the bag, there's OB right behind the basket or right behind the
Oh.
tee pad. So we just turn around, toss the disc OB, and we're like, we got to get home. We have families.
We gotta go.
Yeah, like we got to wrap this thing up. But that's a fun one just because you're sitting there just trying to ace.
Yeah. Another one, we're actually doing this soon because I'm trying to get my friend into disc golf. Starter discs only. But like
Ooh.
not like a good starter disc. Like I mean DX Leopard, DX Shark.
Mm-hmm. Like you go
Like,
to a sporting goods store and buy
yes.
a starter pack, and then you go directly to the course, like day one disc golf stuff.
Yes, that's fun. That's really fun. Especially or if you just knock it down to one disc, you get a DX Leopard, you're good. Go out there, have a great time, figure out what happens. Like that's also good for tournament prep though, like making a shot no matter what disc is in your hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one disc challenges are really, really good, especially if it's putter only for power and for
Mm-hmm.
shot shaping, because you got to learn how to throw, like, say, an envy on a forehand, or
Yeah.
got to learn how to throw it really far. 'Cause when I'm in a training cycle focusing on power, I will go to Four Palms and play the blues putter only and just be
That's good. That's
hauling
good. What putter would you
off.
throw? Just envies?
Envies, proxies, uh, the new Acacia has been really, really good for just the dead straight shot.
Mm-hmm.
So, shout out AGL discs once again.
Shut
It's,
up, shut up.
but really try to limit it to those three if I do putter only, but a lot of the time it's one disc and that's all you get.
I love doing that. I've been throwing a Luna more often, one of the Tour
Mhm.
Series Lunas, and then I've also been throwing Fierces, the Tour Series one from like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
I think it's Metallic Z or something like that. That one, I love that disc. So between those two, I love going out and throwing just those and really learning what they do. And I think that is definitely the number one thing you can do with one disc challenges. One, have fun because like what's going to happen? It might be a 400-foot hole, but let's see how far I can throw the putter.
Right.
Um, but learning a disc, I did that with my Undertaker a couple months ago. I just went out and played only with the Undertaker and just really learned it better. And the
Mhm.
Undertaker for me is a super utility disc, like
Mhm.
thumber, tomahawk, roller, backhand, forehand. Like it, she does it all. She does it all. So just overall, like just learning discs better. Like if you are struggling with something, going out with there and you kind of just you get to know each other. You just get locked in a room together. So
Yeah, it also allows you to, like, when I first started doing putter only rounds, it allows you to realize that you don't need distance to play well. What you need is a good
nope.
putting game and a good approach game, because you can have a
100%.
400-foot hole as long as you throw two good 200-foot shots. You're at the basket. Just make the putt. Easy
Yep.
game. Easy game. Put disc in basket.
Put disc in the basket. Disc golf is so easy. I just don't understand why people have a hard time with it.
Kim Hatcher driving away viewers because she thinks disc golf is just easy. But I mean, those are
So easy.
all great ways to make disc golf fun and to remind yourself that it is a hobby.
Yeah. And if anybody's got any other games or things that they do to keep the game interesting, like let us know. We want to hear it.
Absolutely. Always a good reminder that disc golf is fun and we're having a good time.
It's fun. Disc golf is great. I love disc golf.
Well, that wraps it up for today. You can find Kim on Instagram at Kim the Great and me at Evan Amstutz DG. Remember to follow the pod on Instagram at Mediocre Disc Golf Pod and on Twitter at Mediocre DG Pod. If you want to support us, buy our shirts on mythicdiscgolf.com and listen to us every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed the show, leave us 5 stars in a review. And if you didn't, still give us 5 stars and tell us why. We know we aren't perfect because we are you. Have a good night.